curfew measures, changes made to border restrictions, and COVID-19 testing to include antigen tests. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was in Parliament last week Tuesday, where he made several announcements. Among them are changes to border restrictions under Jamaica's controlled entry program. As of October 10, travellers can submit either a PCR or antigen test to meet the pre-testing requirements for visitors from high-risk countries. Previously, only PCR test results were accepted. Prime Minister Holness said this change would facilitate timely processing of a much larger number of applicants.
This should make it easier for visitors, both Jamaicans coming from overseas, Jamaicans who have gone overseas for visits, coming back into the island, Jamaicans who live overseas but who want to visit, and for tourists who are visiting Jamaica, to meet the pre-testing requirement, as antigen tests are more readily available and are faster and cheaper than PCR tests.
The Prime Minister also announced that applicants on the Visit Jamaica platform were no longer required to upload their COVID-19 test certificate. However, they were required to present it and the usual travel authorization at the airport when they checked in for their flights. Residents of Jamaica will continue to apply for their travel authorization on the Jam COVID site and are not subject to the pre-testing requirement. Still on COVID-19 testing, Prime Minister Holness has advised that the Ministry of Health and Wellness is expanding local testing for COVID-19 to include the use of antigen tests. He said this move followed approval from the World Health Organization and Pan American Health Organization. It's among measures to increase the availability of COVID testing in the country, which is an important tool in the fight to control its spread among the population.
While the PCR test remains the gold standard, the antigen tests achieve a high degree of reliability at a fraction of the cost, with results being available within 30 minutes. Antigen testing will be for persons who are symptomatic and will be done at suitable sites and approved laboratories.
The Prime Minister also indicated that the Health Ministry would be assessing and improving private laboratories to conduct COVID-19 testing. In doing so, he said it was extremely important that the ministry had full visibility of all the test results. As a result, all private labs conducting testing would be mandated to report the results to the National Public Health Laboratory. In his address to the House of Representatives last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness also announced a range of measures to further control the spread of COVID-19 in the country. The island-wide curfew time of 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. remains in effect until October 18, but begins earlier at 3 p.m. daily on October 18 and 19, ending 5 a.m. October 20.
We have considered where we are in the progression of the pandemic in the country, and we have taken a decision to discourage parties and gatherings which are normally held during the Heroes Weekend. Thereafter, as we have done before, the curfew will move to 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. the following day, each day ending 5 a.m. Sunday, November 1, 2020.
He said the gathering limit would remain at 15 persons until October 31. Other restrictions on funerals, parties or events and burials also remain in effect until the end of the month. So too the provision requiring taxis to carry one person less than the maximum number allowed on their license. At the same time, government is lowering the age limit for seniors required to stay at home from 70 to 65 years.
Given the vulnerability of persons in this age group, particularly those with comorbidities, I cannot overemphasize the importance of strict adherence. Most of our deaths are persons in this category.
Meanwhile, Whitfield Town in Kingston and Waterford in St. Catherine have been placed under longer curfew hours and other restrictions on movement to curtail the spread of the virus in these areas. The curfew time for both areas is now from 6 p.m. each day to 5 a.m. the following day. This will stay in effect from October 6 to 20, and during the curfew hours, only essential workers with identification will be allowed to enter or exit the areas. The limit on public gathering for these communities has been reduced to no more than 6 persons from October 7 to 19. Prime Minister Holness said Whitfield Town had 21 COVID-19 cases, while Waterford had 24 active cases and 5 deaths. He said both communities were among highly trafficked areas across the 2 parishes, which are of special concern for an exponential rise in cases due to their dense populations.
Kingston and St. Andrew and St. Catherine account for almost 70% of the new cases in September. While the cases in these parishes are spread across communities, there are some communities that are particularly affected and show a high concentration of cases.
The Prime Minister added that all the other existing restrictions, such as mask wearing and physical distances, would be strictly enforced.
These actions will be underpinned by increasing public education and awareness through extensive community engagement.
And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.